Defense News is proudly sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. If you're a member of our nation's armed forces, the Department of Defense, or if your family is, we'd be proud to serve you too.
On this episode of Defense News Weekly, we talk to the head of the UK's Air Force about the future of British air power. Plus, we find out some new tech the US Army is working on. Tesla's on the battlefield? We'll take a look. Plus, the Army's search for a new long-range anti-tank weapon. And the drawdown begins in Afghanistan. And later, what would it be like to run a mile in full bomb disposal gear? We catch up with a soldier who set a new record. It's the latest news and analysis from the Pentagon to the platoon. This is Defense News Weekly. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. I'm Andrea Scott. There's a lot going on around the military this week, so let's jump in. We start with a conversation with the head of the United Kingdom's Air Force. Air Chief Marshal Mike Wigston spoke to Defense News about plans for the Royal Air Force in the coming years. Defense News Weekly's Daniel Woolfolk and Aaron Mehta have more.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson delivered a new defense, security, and foreign policy review in March that called for cuts in some existing Royal Air Force aircraft, while falling short in expectations for future purchases. It also called for cuts in manpower, a move former chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral Mike Mullen called, quote, a huge concern for Britain's ability to sustain deployment. The review did call for the Ministry of Defense to buy at least 48 Lockheed Martin F-35B fighters, the vertical takeoff and landing kind, but left the timeline for future purchases vague. There are still no plans to buy the conventional F-35A. The review also cuts the Royal Air Force's order to replace its Boeing E-3 Sentry surveillance aircraft with 3 Boeing Wedgetail E-7 airborne early warning control planes. That was a cut from the planned 5 aircraft. Defense News' Aaron Mehta recently spoke to the Air Chief Marshal, Sir Mike Wigston, about the Royal Air Force's future.
Well, Sir Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Defense News. I wanted to start with a big picture question. The United Kingdom came out with its integrated defense review a couple of weeks ago. That's essentially a holistic look across the UK defense, kind of laying out where decisions might be going in the near term and in the long-term future. There's been 3 separate defense-related reviews since 2010, and overall, the RAF capacity and mass has been diminished kind of over that period of time. In the most recent review, we've seen a couple of retirements of long-standing aircraft as well. And some critics have said that the retirement of some of these planes just are a sign that the RAF is actually losing some influence and power and might not be able to do its mission set going forward. Is that a concern for you going forward, or do you think some of that's overblown?
Aaron, well, thank you very much. And that's a great opening question. I'm delighted to be able to spend some time with you today talking about these issues. As you say, we've just had the integrated review, which was a threat-based assessment of the world and the United Kingdom's place on it. For the Royal Air Force in particular, the review gave us an opportunity to continue our modernisation programme. Some of the force structure changes that you alluded to in your opening question, Aaron, is for the Royal Air Force to be modernising, to be retiring some of our older fleets nearing the end of their life cycle that have less utility or diminishing utility in a modern, digitally connected battle space. And it gives me the opportunity to invest in the future systems and the technology that is available to us now. So I've seen the integrated review, this year's review, as a fantastic opportunity for the Royal Air Force to be fit for the future and fit for the operating environment of the future and fit for the threats that we know we will face. And it gives me an opportunity to continue building our F-35 force, to recapitalize our airborne warning and control, to introduce and continue to build up our new transport aircraft, and to invest in the future combat air system, which will be a mix of uncrewed, remotely piloted, autonomous combat aircraft and piloted combat aircraft that we need on the front line, defending our skies, defending our allies from the late 2030s.
Do you see any potential issues coming down the pipeline of a lack of capacity as some of that trade-off has to happen to get those new technologies up and running?
When I talk about the Future Combat Air System, and when I'm talking back in the UK, and I illustrate what I'm trying to say by talking about, you know, today's tactical unit of an 8-ship of Typhoon or an 8-ship of F-15s. Well, in future, that 8-ship actually might be the equivalent, might be 100 swarming drones, 10 uncrewed combat aircraft, loyal wingmen, and 2 piloted motherships like NGAD or Tempest, our NGAD equivalent. So the numbers and the calculus changes because of technology, and so I think there's an opportunity now for us to reframe that narrative of it's a choice between mass and technology. I think you can have both.
All right, well, Sir Mike, I want to run through a couple of the programs you hit on early on in the conversation, and that kind of came up in the integrator review. The first one I wanted to talk about was the Sentry, the E-3D aircraft. The UK had planned to purchase 5 of the E-7s. The integrator review cuts that purchase from 5 to 3. Do you imagine at some point wanting to take the E-7s and plus them back up to 5, or do you think 3 is going to be the number going forward?
Well, I think that's an option, and I certainly wouldn't rule it out. As it stands at the moment, the announcement and the plan is for 3, and of course we can make that work. And it's and I go back to what I've just said. It's a enormously important step forward in terms of technology and in terms of what we need to do in the future battle space.
Another platform that's used by the US, UK, and a number of NATO allies is the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. The UK had initially announced it was going to buy 138 of the F-35B, the vertical takeoff and landing STOVL version. That's now been changed to saying, the UK has agreed to buy 48, and it will buy more than that, is what the integrated review says, as it will increase its purchase over the 48 that have already been purchased. But it doesn't seem like that 138 number is quite as firm as it used to be. In your mind, is that still a target number? Do you expect that the UK to end up with less, or is this something that's maybe just kind of being misinterpreted incorrectly?
The reason we bought the F-35Bs was to pair it up with our 2 carriers, HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales. Well, they're going to be in service till the late 2060s at least. And so I need a fleet of aircraft that is going to last until into that sort of time frame. So I'm taking a very steady view to how I build the fleet up, because I need these aircraft to last for that amount of time. And as the integrated review said, we are committing to growing the fleet, and we're going to continue to grow the fleet. And in that regard, nothing has changed. But I'm in no doubt, as we now established 2 squadrons, a training unit and a frontline squadron. I'm looking to establish a 3rd squadron, and I think I need at least 3, probably 4 squadrons worth of F-35Bs to work off the carriers. But as I say, this is still a force that we're growing, and we are going to be operating these platforms for potentially 50 years. So I'm not in any hurry to get to any figure, any final figure in the short term, and we will just make sure that we've got a force that's sustainable through the life of HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales.
Could you envision the UK ever buying the F-35A instead of the B? I know there was some talk about maybe reviewing that and making that consideration in the last couple of years.
Our focus right now is on building sufficient F-35Bs that we can operate from our 2 carriers and not be trying to do it with too few aircraft and too few people and putting unnecessary strain on the force. So my absolute focus as far as the F-35 JSF program at the moment is to continue to build my numbers of Bs until I've got a sustainable and usable force size to operate off the 2 carriers.
Well, sir, Mike, last question for you, taking us back to kind of the big picture view here. Taking a look over the next decade, given what has been discussed in the review, given the technology trends that we see around the world, given the geopolitical trends we've seen around the world, over the next decade, in your mind, what's the single biggest challenge the RAF will have to deal with?
That profound change in our freedom of operation and our requirement to compete for control of the air is something that has to be the greatest concern for any air chief at the start in the early 2020s.
Well, sir, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you chatting with us, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, Aaron, it's been a great pleasure, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Aaron. When we come back, the latest in the plan to pull U.S. troops from Afghanistan and the Army's effort to field electronic vehicles for scouts.
Welcome back. The Army is on the hunt for new weapons for soldiers to take on tanks. And are Army scouts getting battlefield Teslas? Jesse Karango talks to ground warfare reporter Todd South on the Army's efforts to field 2 new types of battlefield tech.
Todd, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing well, no problem. Appreciate it.
Why is the Army making these transitions in the first place?
Well, a lot of it's really what they call the pacing threat of Russia and China. So as you'll hear a lot in a lot of the demonstrations and speeches of a lot of top Army and other military service leadership, Russia and China have not sat around, leaving their weapon systems, in the 1990s era. While we were very busy fighting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, they've poured a lot of investment and efforts into weapon systems that they know can defeat our systems. Some of that means missile systems that can keep our airplanes or helicopters at distance, or even keep our ships far away from shores where we couldn't make a landing on a beachhead or come close to China if we wanted to. Others are shorter range stuff like armor. They may have just made armor that's more difficult to penetrate. They've got better sensors so they can strike at us from farther distances, whereas before we'd have to get closer to use an older missile. That's why we want longer stuff reaching out, more powerful stuff going through thicker armor, and just different capabilities to, like I said, loiter around an area, find a different target, hit multiple targets if necessary. So just a lot more options against us that we have to kind of prepare for and defend against, and also be offensive about. Now, the Army is really incorporating a lot of electrification into a lot of their new vehicle platforms. I mean, they're building some things from the ground up, such as the next generation combat vehicle, which is going to replace the Bradley vehicle, which pretty much carries infantry protected to the battlefield, lets them get out and do the fighting. So they're not just going with good old diesel engines. They're looking at hybrid options, all electric options, especially for robotic vehicles. What they want with electrification is pretty far out there, way beyond your Tesla in your garage. I mean, they want things that can charge in a matter of charge a vehicle for a few days worth of work within just 20, 30 minutes.
Wow.
They want battery solutions. They want things that can run really sophisticated power draining platforms, like launching drones off of a vehicle, running a lot of sensors and communication gear. As far as the reconnaissance vehicle that we're specifically talking about, the electric long-range reconnaissance vehicle, that's essentially to carry it's either 6 to 9 troops. I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Around for reconnaissance missions. So they want it quiet. They want it durable and sustainable to get out ahead of battlefield lines, so that a small team of reconnaissance soldiers could observe the enemy quietly, kind of stay silent, and get back without having to worry about running out of fuel or carrying extra fuel, which is another logistical burden that they're hoping electrification can help out with.
When it comes to this new missile, what is the difference between the new technology that the Army wants to implement versus what they currently use?
Well, I would say essentially the new missile, beyond the range it wants, it's also the capabilities. They want they want it to be able to do multiple things, whether you're guiding it into a target if it's a moving target, or it's able to lock on a target, much like you would see in the old jet fighter movies, where it would lock on a target and then kind of zero in and find it. A loiter option where you could basically scan your battlefield area, scan the area where you see multiple targets. You give them a quick priority, like almost a touch screen, like I want this to be number 1, number 2, number 3, and then just shoot the missile out there, and it finds the best way to get to the target. Or it even goes, one that was an interesting option that would really help out for ground formations that one of the officers mentioned when they were giving their presentation, was the kind of finding a box. Basically, I know that there's targets over there, they're moving around a lot. It could be a small 2-person vehicle, it could be a tank. I'm going to put a just box area for this missile to go and find something to kill. And basically, you put the box in the program, boom, hit the button, it fires, it goes out there, it gets to a certain level, certain altitude, and just waits until it finds what it needs to find, and then boom, it strikes. So it gives you a whole host of options and tools for taking out different targets or threats.
The Army was originally looking to implement these changes with new forms of missiles and vehicles within the next 3 to 5 years. But according to Todd, the force may be looking to upgrade much sooner, within the next 2 years, depending on where the market stands. For Defense News Weekly, I'm Jesse Karangu.
Thanks, Jesse. Also this week, as the Pentagon moves to pull U.S. troops out of Afghanistan, the number for forces on the ground may actually increase slightly in the short term. Military Times' Megan Myers asked Pentagon spokesman John Kirby about the plans.
Can you confirm reporting from earlier today that about 650 special operators are heading to Afghanistan to do security for the drawdown? And are there any plans to send, or what are the plans to send logistics troops as well to help everybody break things down and move it out?
As we've said almost from the get-go, I think you can expect that there will be an addition of posture in Afghanistan to assist with this drawdown to make sure that it is safe and orderly. But again, without confirming the specifics. And then this, in keeping with that same idea, to make sure that the drawdown is safe and orderly, as we have said, it is perfectly logical that we may see additional logistics personnel and engineering support, again, to help with the physical movement of assets and people out of Afghanistan. I don't have any announcements to make today or specific orders to speak to, but that is certainly one of the things that we're looking at, and it should come as no surprise to anybody that we would probably have to provide some enabling capabilities into Afghanistan to allow this to occur, very similar to how we've done similar operations in the past.
But you're not sending security protection to Afghanistan.
Well, I mean, that's a weird way of putting it. I mean, we talked about Friday, the extension of the aircraft carrier Eisenhower in the region and the addition of some B-52 assets, which now number 4 in the region, to help provide force protection. So, no, we are not sending force protection assets. I just won't. There will be some force protection assets that we'll be able to talk about, and then there'll be some that we probably aren't going to want to detail in any great specificity. Again, for purposes of force protection and operational security, we have to assume, though we don't want it to be this way, that this drawdown could be opposed by the Taliban. And again, we want to make sure that first and foremost, that doesn't happen. And secondly, if it does, that we've got enough capability to make sure that we can protect our people as they move out of the country.
And finally, in a benchmark for the Marine Corps, the first group of female recruits to be trained at the service's San Diego depot have completed the Crucible. 53 women in Lima Company were handed an Eagle Globe and Anchor and became Marines following the culminating boot camp event. And that's it for your military headlines. When we come back, we've got tips for how to stash cash automatically. Stick around. On this edition of Money Minute, Navy Federal Credit Union personal finance expert Jeanette Mack gives advice on ways to set up automated savings.
With summer and summer vacations right around the corner, keeping a savings cushion while also setting aside extra funds for spending is a delicate balance many families are undertaking right now. Hopefully you've been planning ahead, but if not, do yourself the favor of budgeting before your summer begins. Figure out how much you can reasonably afford to save monthly, pull it from your paycheck and deposit it directly into your savings account every time you get paid. Make it automatic so you never have to see it. If you don't see it, you won't spend it. It's that easy. And if you can, set up automatic payments for any recurring bills and your credit cards too. That way your bills get paid and your savings builds up over time. Not to mention, this can become a great budgeting and wealth building habit for those times when you're not saving for a vacation. The money you continue to save could turn into an emergency fund or a retirement fund. By making savings automatic, you can get your money right faster than you might think. Every dollar counts when it comes to boosting your savings, so start small and finish big.
Thanks, Jeanette. We'll see you next week. To get more of our coverage, head over to Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps Times.com and DefenseNews.com. To get a list of our top stories in your inbox every weekday, sign up for our early bird brief. And if you're on social media, stop on over to our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for more videos. And when we come back, is it even possible to run in a full bomb disposal suit? A soldier puts herself in the hurt locker to see how fast she can go a full mile. Welcome back. Taking a run in a full bomb disposal suit is not on many people's short list. But if there's a record out there for something, someone will try to break it. That someone was Army Captain Katie Hernandez, who broke the female world record for running 1 mile in a bomb suit in 10 minutes and 23 seconds. I spoke to her to hear about what it was like.
Welcome, Captain Katie Hernandez, the bomb suit 1 mile run female world record holder at 10 minutes and 23 seconds. Katie, I first have to ask, where did you get it in your head to do this?
Hi, thanks for having me. So this all came about 14 months ago. I had seen it pop up on my social media if anybody wanted to give it a go. And I decided, sure, why not, just for fun. The previous record holder, Ashley Sorensen, she's a friend of mine. So I actually saw her, when she broke hers. So it definitely meant something special to me.
The bomb suit and the helmet together weigh 96 pounds. I know you're not supposed to ask a lady how much she weighs, but how heavy was this on you and what was it like running in it?
I weigh 136 pounds. So it actually, the helmet was the worst part. The helmet weighs 12 pounds all on its own. So depending if you lean back or forward, it definitely takes you with it.
What was the hardest part of that day?
Probably getting the nerves out. So it was all for fun. And then it definitely builds momentum. And the day of the race, I had a bunch of family and friends that came to support. And it definitely grew to be something bigger than just myself. So just all the little pressures here and there. And then of course the countdown, 3, 2, 1, right before you go, taking a deep breath and just being able to have a good mindset going into it.
What was your training like for this?
Oh, geez. So like I said, my training started about 14 months ago. Initially, I just put the suit on and ran a mile just to see if I could do it. The first time I ran it, I was a little off, but then I was able to focus my training a bit more. And every Friday, so once a week, I was in the suit doing different intervals, training up to it. So I wasn't running the mile every time, but it definitely took a crew. I can't put the bomb suit on by myself. So it was interesting trying to coordinate everybody to come out to the track, and gosh, I had the best support. So I was very thankful for everybody that helped me through the process.
Was it an actual suit from your unit, or how did you coordinate getting that bomb suit?
Yeah, it was actual suit. We actually had it on the response truck, and it was a size small, and I was like, okay, I need the suit. So we actually switched it out, and I was able to run in the suit, my suit, on game day. So that was nice.
So tell us about the organization you ran this for.
We did a lot of awareness and media awareness for a nonprofit organization, veteran owned, called Get Headstrong. And what they do is they help veterans who struggle as far as any type of mental concerns or issues that they have. So PTSD type stuff. And it was just a great way to do something awesome and promote Get Headstrong at the same time. They're really great about, providing counseling and any type of support that veterans could possibly need.
And that's all we have time for this week. Please visit us on militarytimes.com and defensenews.com for more coverage. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.